up, guys? My name is Lex. This is Poker Vlog number 10. We are in Dallas, Texas, playing at Texas Card House. First time here, super excited to see how Texas poker is. I'm excited to play here at the new Texas Card House. We're going to head in there. We're going to be playing 2-5 matches stacked, so the pots will get pretty big. This is episode number 1 for day number 1 of our trip. All right, hope you guys enjoy. Let's get in there. All right, we are here. Time to get to business. We're going to play some deep stack Texas poker. We check out the lounge. Pretty cool area. This place is less than a year old. We buy ourselves a membership card and then head out to the floor. There's tons of tables here, and what I really like is they do time rake, $13 an hour, which means all the chips stay on the table, which is awesome. That leads to big stacks with big action. We end up getting called for a new table, which means we have to start with $1,000, but once some players win some hands, we can add on to match that stack. So we start here with 1,000. We end up folding here for the first half an hour, and then we pick up pocket sixes. Under the gun straddles to 10. We make it 30. Small blind calls and the straddler calls. Going 3 ways to the flop. Flop comes out queen 8-3 with 2 diamonds, so we just flop an under pair here. They check to us. We put out a continuation bet of $50, which I actually do not like at all. We're going to get called here by so many hands that have at least 50% equity against us, so I think a check back would be the best option. Small blind folds and under the gun makes the call. Turn card comes the king of diamonds. We're not going to put any more money in this pot. Our opponent checks, we check back. River card comes out 7 of clubs, and our opponent leads out for a massive bet, $250. Not much we can do here with pocket sixes, can't bluff, can't call. We end up folding. Pretty standard hand here. By this time, some money has been shifting around the table, so we can match the stack up to $2,500. So we buy in for another $1,500, sitting on 2.5K. All right, a little while later, there is an early position limp. We make it 25 on the button with jack 8 of spades, small blind, big blind, and the limper call. So we're going 4 ways to the flop. Flop comes out queen 9-4, 2 spades. Pretty nice flop here. We flop a straight flush draw. Any 10 or spade gives us a huge hand. When they check to us, we are obviously going to start putting money in this pot. We bet $65. Only the small blind calls, so going to the turn. Turn card is the 6 of spades. We make a flush right away. Small blind checks to us, and we're going to put in a bet. Not too big. We bet $125, trying to get value from any queen, possibly jack 10 or queen X with a spade. Our opponent makes a call for $125. River, 10 of clubs. We make a straight. Oh, wait. We already had a flush. Flush is better than a straight. Our opponent checks. Now we got to figure out what sizing we want to go. This guy looks like a guy who does not like to fold, so we put in a big bet, $375, and we get snap called with a red chip. We show the jack 8 of spades, and he mucks, so taking down a good pot here on our second hand of the day. This hand, there's a straddle under the gun for 10. We make it 30 with queen jack of clubs. Under the gun plus 2 calls, small blind calls, and the straddler calls. 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes out queen 10-4, 2 clubs. We flop top pair, jack kicker with the club flush draw. We decide to check here to the action player next to us, thinking that he might be putting in a bet with basically his whole range, and he does. He puts in a $65 bet. We have this board so crushed, we want our opponents to bet or call with worse hands. So when we check, he bets 65. Straddler calls 65 and I call 65. I want to keep my opponents in there with worse flush draws or straight draws with very little outs. Dealer puts out the turn, which is the 6 of hearts. We check to the action player, and he doesn't bite again. He checks back. River rolls off 6 of spades. We didn't make a flush, but we were very likely to have the best hand. Straddler checks. We put in a pretty big bet of $200, trying to get called by a worse queen or possibly a 10. Nobody decides to put any more money in the pot, so we end up winning this one, taking this one down with the queen jack of clubs. And this hand, under the gun plus 2 opens to 20, and we have ace 5 of hearts. We should be 3-betting or folding this hand from this position. We decide to 3-bet to $60. We're trying to play in position here, but that doesn't work where the hijack button and initial raiser end up making the call of our 3-bet, so going 4 ways to the flop here. The flop comes out 4-3 deuce, all hearts. We flop a straight flush. Just kidding, you fell for the Brad Owen trick flop. Maybe one day I'll be as funny and tall as him. The flop gets checked through, and turn is a king, which hits our perceived range, but we have 0 equity in this pot, so we continue to check, and it checks around again. River card comes as 6, and with all the checking going on, I really don't think our opponents have anything, so we want to try to get them off pocket 7s, pocket 5s, pocket 8s, all hands that we lose to, so we put in a bluff of $250. Our line doesn't really make much sense, but with all the checking going on, our opponents really must not have anything, so we put in this bet here, we get it through, we show the 5, and take down this pot. Things are going pretty good here. We have about a 3.5K stack. We cover everybody at the table. Let's keep it rolling. Table is getting pretty deep now. Everybody has at least $1,000. Under the gun raises to 50, and there's 3 callers before we look down at Queen 9 of spades in the big blind. We make the call here. These players in Dallas do not like to fold. We're going multi-way to some big pots. Flop here comes out ace, 8, 3, all spades. We flop the queen high flush. We check to the raiser who puts out a bet of $70. It quickly folds back to us. We are about $2,000 deep here, so I end up calling. I definitely like a raise better. We can get value from pocket aces or any big overpair like jacks or kings with a spade. By raising the flop, we can also have the initiative on the turn, which comes out the 7 of diamonds. We check and our opponent checks back, which is very unfortunate. River 4 of diamonds, we check to induce a bluff or let him bet with possibly an ace. He checks back. We show the flush, and we're obviously good. I do think a bet on the river would be best there, maybe around $150 to $175. All right, this next hand is pretty sick here. The under the gun player opens to 15, and Mark, a fan of the vlog, makes it 45 next to act. 2 callers of 45 before the small blind puts in a cold 4-bet of $320. We end up looking at our hand, and we have ace-king offsuit in the big blind. And given all this action and the fact that Mark was playing pretty snug as well as a small blind, we're just going to let this one go. They both have around $800 to $1,500, so we fold, let them duke it out. They end up getting it all in, aces versus ace-king, and Mark ends up getting the double. We come back from a break and post $5. Under the gun makes it 20. Next to act calls 20. We call 20, and 3 other players called. So like I say, a lot of action down here in Dallas. Flop comes out 10, 3, 4, rainbow. We flop top pair, top kicker. Under the gun, c-bets $100, and next to act calls $100. And in this spot, I really just kind of felt like folding my hand. The initial raiser should never be bluffing into this many people, and then with the next act player calling, it just didn't feel good for us, but we end up putting in the call given the fact that we can be ahead of some worse 10s, along with some random airball c-bet bluffs on the flop. Everybody else folds, and the dealer burns and turns the queen of clubs. Now under the gun checks, and next to act checks, so we feel better about our hand, but we are just going to pot control and check back. River card 9 of hearts, kind of safe card, but we are losing to some 2 pairs and pocket 9s now. Initial raiser bets $200, and the next act player snap calls $200. I tank for a while here and actually say it looks like you got pocket jacks and fold, and sure enough, he shows pocket jacks, takes down this $800 pot. We end up folding for about an hour and a half before a special guest comes into the vlog. My dad decided to meet me here. We are playing right next to each other with some big deep stack poker. Let's try to stack old dad. Alrighty, in this hand we have ace 7 of diamonds. An action player middle position raises to 20. The cutoff call is 20. We call because we're super deep with all these guys. And my dad ends up calling in the big blind. So going 4 ways to the flop. Flop is ace 5-5, 2 hearts. It checks to the initial raiser who aggressively bets $60. Cutoff lets his hand go, and with top pair, medium kicker against his opponent, we have no other choice but call. Now my dad in the big blind starts tanking, so this is probably not good for us. Hopefully he just has a flush draw and not a better ace. He ends up putting in the call for $60. 4th card is the 6 of diamonds. We check, my dad checks, and now the initial raiser thinks for a little bit of time and checks, so we definitely feel like we have the best hand here. River card, jack of clubs, which is actually a great card for us. Now we chop with hands like ace 10, ace 9, and ace 8 that were beating us. We still check, trying to get to showdown. My dad checks, which is good. He shouldn't have anything at all. The initial raiser puts in a bet of $125, and we snap call before he puts the chips in the middle. In my head, I already won this pot. I know the initial raiser doesn't have anything, But now the old man goes into the tank, and I'm just guessing here that he's just nit rolling with like ace 10 or ace 8, that he isn't sure if he's good or not. So he thinks for a while and ends up calling 125. Initial raiser said he doesn't have anything. I say I have an ace, and my dad shows 4-5 of diamonds for trips, so kind of tilted the way that hand played out. If my dad just raises the flop, I fold. If he leads out on the river, I fold, so it looks like he got the max from me. Dad pulls a sick hit and run. Just kidding, he's just coloring up, so we still have time to get our chips back. Dad is definitely in the hot seat. He lets me sweat his hand. He has pocket fours on queen 10-4. He puts in a check raise, what looks like $130, and he gets a call. The turn is a king, and he bets $250, and his opponent calls as well. And now the river is a brick, and he bets $625. His opponent goes into the tank and ends up folding. My dad wins a pretty sizable pot here with a set of fours. We are card dead for a while, picking up some trash hands and losing some small pots here, just not getting anything to play with. All right, finally picking up a hand. We have pocket tens. We raise from early position to $20. The middle position player calls. Small blind makes a call of $20, so we're going three ways to the board of 9-7-7, two clubs. Small blind checks, and we check with intention of check raising this board. Middle position player ends up putting in a bet of $50. Small blind thinks for a while and ends up folding his card. So when it's back on us, we're going to just put middle position player all in. I thought he had about $250 total, but it looks like he's got more like $3, so we check raise to $250. With this stack size, we're never folding, so we're just going to try to get it all in before any scare card comes. We want him to call with flush draws, straight draws, or possibly a 9, so we put him basically all in, and now he goes into the tank. He thinks for a while. He finally ends up putting all the money in. We run the board out, which comes out pretty much bricks, 4 and a queen. We show our pocket tens, and we are good. We end up scooping this big $675 red chip pot. We have been playing all day. This is the last hand of the night for us. All right, we're doing a round of straddles here. So dad is in the straddle, and there's an under the gun player who limps. Middle position player limps. I call $5 more in the big blind with 8-9 of spades, and my dad checks. Flop is ace 10-7 with 1 spade. We flop open-ended with a backdoor flush draw. We check to the under the gun player who puts in a bet of $30. We could be check raising this board, but we just call given the size of the pot and the price we're getting and how deep we are with the under the gun player. Turn pairs the board. It is the 10 of clubs. We decide to lead on this card. We're going to have a lot more 10s than our opponent. We can get him to fold hands like queen jack and king jack that are currently beating us, and we can put a lot of pressure on ace x hands. We lead for 80, and our opponent snap calls us, so it doesn't look like he's in the folding mood. We're probably going to give up here unless we improve, which we do. The 6 of hearts on the river gives us the nut straight, and given the fact that our opponent seemed like he had a pretty good ace on the turn, we're going to bet big here. We bet $225. He thinks for about half a second and calls. We show the 8-9 of spades for the straight. He taps the table and mucks. We take down our last pot of the night. That is it for us. We are done. Day 1 here. Played a lot of hours. Had a fun session here at Texas Card House in Dallas. All right, day 1 is complete here in Dallas. We flew all the way here early morning, straight to the poker room, played 9 hours, and man, that poker room is nice. Everything's basically brand new. Staff was great. Dealers were great. Room is super comfortable. All the players were fun to play with, so had a super good time. I'm ready for day 2 tomorrow. Ran pretty well on the felt today. We didn't pick up any big hands like aces, kings, or queens, but we won a bunch of small to medium pots. We never got coolered, never got bad beat, which was nice. You guys also met my dad. First time on the vlog for him, and he ran pretty hot himself too. I think he flopped like 3 or 4 sets the whole day, and he basically didn't lose a hand either. I think he won about 2,300 bucks. For us, we were in the game for 2,400 bucks, out for $3,481 for a profit of $1,081. If you guys like this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. You can hit the notifications button. That way you can get notified when the next episode comes out, which will be 3 to 5 days after this one. So hope you guys like this one. And until next time, I'll see you.